420 grams on newsclick.in. I'm Siddhant Ani. With me is Vaibhav Raghunandan, former India captain Renedy Singh, and Ishfaq Ahmed, who's joining us on Skype from Bombay. We're a little more serious than we usually are on the show today because it's a tragic start to the weekend's football action. Yesterday, as most of you all will know, the body of Cardiff City forward Emiliano Sala was finally found in the English Channel. So it's confirmed that he has died in that tragic plane crash. Also, news coming in from Brazil that at least 10 young academy players at the Flamengo Academy have unfortunately died in a fire that broke out at their academy facility, a newly upgraded facility. So extremely sad sort of way to start this conversation, guys. But an important story in the context of football for us as well, for the football world in general. As ex-pros, I want to come to you guys first. The circumstances were a bit bizarre. Well, how do you deal with something as tragic and as final as the death of a teammate?
It's really, really sad. The player who has been in a great form in the last many matches. It's sad to see him go. But then again, this is something which is not in our control. But yes, he could have traveled in the normal aircraft. Maybe he would have been alive. But then again, in a private jet, which is something which is not at all in our control.
You've also been, of course, following the story as it's developed like the rest of us have. Your thoughts on the events and the news that's come out last night?
Oh, well, as Renedy bhai ne pehle clear kiya, I think it's really sad, and we have seen yesterday the two teams, Jamshedpur FC and the other team, paying tribute to the guy. You know, see, it's for football community. You know, like we might be divided by the regions and the community, but united by football. And he has been in really, really rich form, scoring goals day in, day out, and he looked brilliant player. And end of the, you know, like this week, you know, cutting his life short is really sad. I don't have words to say.
Bizarre circumstances surrounding the whole, the events leading up to the plane crash.
Yeah, I mean, I think the plane crash just highlights that there were bizarre circumstances. I mean, if there had been no plane crash, we would have perhaps never known about the circumstances that had occurred, and we would have just gone on with the way that life goes on. Maybe this is the norm rather than the exception. We won't know. So the circumstances were very simple. He'd come down, done his medical, went back, and then he was supposed to fly back down. He'd actually been offered, Neil Warnock had offered that, why don't you stay back and watch us play a game and then go back? But he declined the offer. He wanted to say goodbye to his teammates in France, and he wanted to share like one last evening with them. There was a plane that was set up for him with the regular pilot, but he was not available. So then, unfortunately, also David Ibbotson, his body has not yet been found. And Salah's family have asked that the search continue for that too. So Ibbotson was flying the plane. I think one of the last texts Salah sent was to his father saying that, hey, the plane's really, there's a lot of turbulence, it's really shaking, I'm really scared. And that, I mean, then he disappeared and then this has happened. So these guys have both pointed out like the two aspects of this story that are most touching, which is the human element, of course, his family, his relatives, his friends, his teammates. The second aspect is the sporting aspect. He was in rich form. He was in the prime of his career. He'd got his really big move to English football. There is a third aspect, which is the financial aspect. And that is now coming out into play. Nantes have asked, so this is Cardiff's most expensive signing ever. 15 million pounds. And so they decided that they're going to pay it in 3 installments. And this is actually something, I mean, this is a PR disaster for Nantes also, I would say. Even before Salah's body was found, they had already submitted a request asking Cardiff to pay the first of those installments, which, while definitely in bad taste, you can understand perhaps why they they're coming from also. So it just, now this is going to become something that is going to build on and go on. Like, I mean, this could...
So essentially what we're talking about now is that like this young guy, his life has been cut short, but end of the day, it's a commercial transaction between two entities. Yeah. First, I want you to clarify for us, Renedy, because it's something that a lot of people who have an interest in football and of course listen to news stories, they don't fully understand what a transfer fee means, right? So there's an assumption with some of us that the transfer fee, if a club is paying, let's say, 10 million for Renedy Singh services, that Renedy Singh gets that money, but that's not the case, right?
True. Yeah, when a transfer fee is from club to club and nothing to do with the player. Players get his own salary, his wages, and that's a different thing. And then even in India also now we have started. So it's from straight club to club, and here, whatever, I'm sure it's a big transfer fee. But then what the player, it's a tragic accident, and the player's family, it was a big move for him. Player's family should get money out from that, whatever he was, So it has to be, because then player's family looked up to him, and you know, for them, it was a dream come true. From Nantes to Cardiff, that was the best signing ever. That's a dream for not only for the player, for the whole family, but then the money should go to the players as well.
See, business being business in football in Europe, you know that it's a big business, huge business for agents, for clubs. You know, that's what they do. जब एक player अच्छे form में होता है, you have his rights, तो आप बेच देते हो. That's how you earn. आप उनके ऊपर पैसे लगाते हो, फिर वही जरिया बनता है पैसे कमाने का. Simple. It's as simple as that. But there will be, like clause written there, like there will be death clause, there will be all those things. Like, I'm sure if the contract was already, he had signed contract already, and they might have to pay the money, whole money. There will be insurance money for sure, which will go to his family. And I think Cardiff will be covered by that end, because it's an accident. I'm sure he had passed the medical test and everything, and his insurance will be done because they are very professional. When you pay so much of money for transfer, you don't, leave any part, you cover everything.
So actually, a couple of things. Like one, Renedy made a very strong point where and this is actually perhaps the perfect way to deal with this whole situation, which is that both the clubs figure out a way where the money goes to Salah's family, because he was the center of this entire transaction, and they're now going to be deprived of not just his presence, but also his financial strength. Second, Ishfaq is talking about the insurance. So yes, there was an insurance, that a 16 million pound insurance that they had registered him against, but as of now, and there's no details of this out, so it's not sure when it was activated or when it would have been activated. So that's the...
Yeah, I'm
that
sure,
is the dodgy.
I mean, insurance companies also are not, their business model is not based on paying out.
None of these business models are based on humanity. They're all based on
So
business.
I suppose the best we can hope for is that the parties involved will be able to find a humane way to sort of address this issue. But these are things that are happening very far away from us, and we don't have really first-hand information on how they are going to go down and the intricacies of what happens next. But what I did want to talk about is, like Ishfaq had mentioned earlier, the football world is interconnected. We are at a stage in India where we are sort of now bringing in, when we talk about professionalizing the system, what we are essentially doing is trying to build some of the structures that European football already has in place. So for us, in a way, the tragic loss of life can be a bit of a lesson for the future in terms of things that we can do better, perhaps. And one of the subjects that we can talk about here is agents and the role that they play. Because when this story came out, there was also an email that was leaked, that was reported widely in the press, where the particular agents involved in Salah's transfer from Nantes to Cardiff had basically approached him by saying, we are not interested in you, your personality, your family, your circumstances. All we are interested in is money, right? And we make money. This is our historical record of how much money we've made for so many people. And if you are interested in making money, get on board and we'll make it together. Essentially, that seems to be the conversation that happened. So all kinds of people now can become agents, Renedy, and promise all kinds of things.
Very true. Now anyone can become an agent. You don't have to hold a license to become like they used to be. You need to be a FIFA license, agent license to become a football agent. But now we can all become an agent. But then again, this is where you have to educate the players. To educate the young players who are 15, 16, 17, who has got good prospect, good talent. Because now as the football is getting bigger, even in India as well, after doing well in Asia Cup and all those things, and we will only do better. And there will be lots of agents will be coming in, and they already are, and they're already in. This is where you have to tell the players that, please, before you sign anything, just have a look. Let them speak to their parents or whoever they are closer to, whoever they trust. I think if we don't educate the players will make the same mistake again and again. So the more we educate the players, the thing will get better. Like you said, this is a great example where all the young players has to understand before they sign on a paper.
Renedy bhai, just exactly what we should do over here. Like teaching, he just hit the nail. Like we need to educate, especially Indian players. We have to educate them how to, especially deal with agents. Like there are a lot of agents, as Renedy bhai was telling, कि आजकल कोई भी agent बनता था, पहले license है, आजकल India में ही इतने agent है. When I was dealing with the Indian Super League, I don't know कि कौन से agent किस के player के. I have never heard their names also. But yes, then it comes the responsibility. There is maybe Renedy bhai is the president of Football Player Association. We might have to start some education program also. And as a senior players, we might, from our locality, who has former players, they should tell young guys to, what they should be careful for. Yeah, sometimes we have seen in past, especially here in Kolkata also, like people signing, players knowing they have signed for 1 year basis, and then club producing paper they have signed for 5 years. So, which is really unfortunate because player को पता ही नहीं था कि उसने कहाँ पे sign किया. उसके agent ने उसको बोला sign करने के लिए, बाद में उसको पता ही नहीं था कि मैंने तो next year he talks to some other club and the club says भाई आपका तो 5 साल का contract है हमारे साथ. So we have seen already all these things in Indian football, and hopefully inshallah we will sort out more that issue, because it is about protecting young players also. It's not only as you said कि more ज़्यादा professionalism आ रहा है. So it's about everything. Education is very, very important for the grassroots level players who are coming up. We have to educate them. There is no any other way to teach them. This education not only will help them to take care of themselves, but it will help them for a game management or to become a better professionals.
So you're talking about educating young players, Andy. Like in your own football schools, how do you bring this about right at the junior most level? How do you educate them about the financial implications of the game?
See, when you are training those kids, 50, 60 kids, you have to give the information, not in one day, but in day-to-day basis. Because kids get tired if you keep getting information after 5 minutes. They don't want to listen. So you have
This is not what I came to football school for.
Yeah. We are here to play football. So you have to do it in such a way, and I'm sure Ishfaq is being a coach now also, he will understand this. Because we have to wait for the right time to speak to them. And then we have to make it so short, and we have to have an impact, and so that they can understand fast. I think day-to-day basis, when after the training or before the training, you tell them that what is good and what is not good, and what is happening and what can happen. So these are the things you have to give as much as possible so that they can understand quick, they can adapt fast. But we don't talk only about cash, but then like Ishfaq said, when you educate the players, it can help in many ways, starting from eating well to taking proper rest, and then, all the things happening, when you are 16 or 17, there will be, nowadays, there are 5 or 6 agents following you. And to choose the right one, it's a difficult one. And when money is coming in for young players, they are thinking like, oh, this is the best thing for me, and they don't think about the future at all.
Especially because so many young players come from economically difficult
Exactly,
backgrounds.
yeah.
They don't come from comfortable...
Especially in football.
Absolutely,
in football.
absolutely.
When we started, you know, when I signed for Mohun Bagan, it was 75,000 a year. Now the players are getting 16, 17-year-old getting 25 lakhs. So if agent is coming, or 25, agent is coming with 45, he will not think about if agent is good enough for him for the future. He will just think, oh, yeah, 35 lelo, and then
exactly,
we can
like that's
later.
exactly.
So this is when, you know, the parents has to come in and check out if their son, you know, whatever, because 15, 16-year-old, they're still young to decide that. So I think to choose the right one, I think that's the important thing.
And that is where actually, you know, like they need to take care of it, you know, because that money gets in their head, as he was telling Renedy bhai. They don't have to concentrate on the money, what they are getting at the 16 and 17. Money will come. That's what they should learn. Money will come. Let's concentrate on performance. Let's try to deliver why I have signed, why I was picked. That's where sometimes they forget that part. And we have seen a lot of good players showing a lot of promise, but after 1 year, they are nowhere.
True. For what Ishfaq is saying, I'll sum up a little more. See, when you sign in a team, you have to see that you don't have, of course, money you need, but then you don't have to see only the money. You have to see how many matches you're going to get a chance to play. Suppose we think about you signing, I'm sure everyone wants to sign in Goa or in Bengaluru, but then as a young player, you have to see how many matches I'm going to get in Bengaluru or in Goa. So as the more matches they get, so when you are 28, 29, you don't have to worry about the matches you play. You have to worry about how much money you're getting, and 15, 20 minutes is fine. But when you are 16, 17, you need more game time. If you lose game time in that age, you will never improve. So more game time and money, he shouldn't worry about the money. And the more you get game time, the more he will get better. And in few years, he can get as much whatever he wants.
I want to just bring in, because we're talking about young players specifically. Last weekend, we had a chat with Dalyan Zwala Changte, who's now at Viking FK in Norway on a short trial. We asked him this question, right? Because here you are trying to build a career. On the one hand, you have ISL clubs that are willing to pay you big money. On the other hand, you have a chance to play in Europe where you will not make any money at all. But you will get a chance to train and play with the best in the business. So how do you balance that out? I just want to play that clip really quickly, because it's great to see that there are some young players who are getting some of this education and are being able to balance the money with the initial dream that it all begins with, which is to play football at the highest possible level.
A hard decision at the end of the day, because this year, like, by the grace of God, we played like quite well. So not knowing that what we might get there and what offer we get there, so it's a hard decision. But since I was a kid, it was my dream to fulfill this thing. So I am like willing to do this. Yeah, the money will come.
He has the age right now on his side.
I think this is the best decision he has made. Ishfaq, and in our time, we never had that. The players, whoever, in the new generation of the players now, I think this is the best chance they're getting, and he should make full use of it. The best example is Gurpreet. Gurpreet was in East Bengal. He have done okay in East Bengal, but he had a potential. He was in Indian camp, in Bob Houghton also for 2-3 months always, but never played in a game in the Indian team then. But he was always, Bob Houghton used to call him at the camp and train with the senior players. And after that, he went to Norway. He was already in East Bengal, but he went to Norway, played few years over there, and look, he is India's #1 right now. The way he's been performing, it's every week in, week out. It's so nice to see that the way he's performing. Sam Changte, he shouldn't worry about the money. He's already there. And if he can give at least 2-3 years to himself and check, and that 3 years, even though if he doesn't get much, the experience which he's going to get, when he comes back, he will be as good as Gurpreet, what he's
the
doing.
finished product, like we were talking about.
Yeah, the finished product. Now we see that.
And he will cover that part of money, like also.
Yeah, he
the
can.
2-3 years, he will cover that in 1 year. Once he will
it's
be
very
back.
true. Whatever he's missing out now, he will cover it when he come back with all good experience.
Yeah.
And then it's the best thing the player says. I want more players to get in, have a checkout, and come back again. And if they can make it big over there, that's what we are hoping for. 2, 3, 4 players to make it big in Europe, and this is what we are hoping.
So actually, let me just, I'll just ask both of you. I'll ask you, Ishfaq, when you were playing, were there opportunities like this where, I mean, I'm just constantly looking for like stories where, say, you were approached by an agent or there were agents around at games and making offers that were perhaps...
I don't think there were agents, but Renedy Bhai will agree with me. They were officials, club officials who were always behind you, want your number and all that. But it used to be very tense time for us. You know, like we had to do everything by our negotiation, which club, nobody is taking care of. So at the end of the season, where your club is doing good also, you are doing good also, you have the other kind of pressure. भाई मेरे को next year कौन से क्लब में खेलना है, क्या ये इतना पैसा देगा, क्या वो दूसरा इतना पैसा देगा. But yes, there was a couple of times where agents approached. I remember one when by Chung me, we went with Mohan Bagan to play Asia Cup, AFC Cup, Club Championship, and where an Arab agent approached and he was asking like if you would be interested in to play in Kuwait with me and Marcos. So we had a little conversation that time, but you know, like the rule of we becoming as a foreigner. So we have a competition in Asia, like with the Japanese as a nation with other. So it becomes really difficult. But in India back then, you were your own agent.
Yeah, Ishfaq is right, because in India, you know, even he played for East Bengal, Mohan Bagan, and I played the same for 12 years. But then every year we sign a year contract. We never used to sign a 3-year contract. So every year at the end of the season, we are thinking how we negotiate. And negotiate can take long. Sometimes you go to the CEO's office or the club official office, and you are there negotiating for 5-6 hours.
Absolutely.
5-6 hours in one place. Now, how can you negotiate
you
for
don't
5-6
sleep all
hours in
night.
one place? You know. So this used to be the thing every single year. But with an agent, what the players can only concentrate on the football field, about their performance, not worrying about how much he's going to get, because agent will do the best. So you know, if you choose the right agent, I think it's a very good thing. You don't have to worry about, you know, kitna 5 milna, 10 milna, 5 milna, 10 milna, and agents will take care.
Yeah, they do. I mean, the idea is not to diss agents, because in the whole system, they have a role to play, like you guys are saying. I mean, we don't want a situation.
Legal role, absolutely, yeah. Legal type.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you one incident, how I have signed one contract, which is like very funny. I was playing for Dempo, and Mohan Bagan wanted me. So I did not want Dempo to come to know. I did not want Mohan Bagan, these Calcutta press to come to know. So what happened, Debashish Da, I'm sure Renedy Bhai will be knowing him very well. He came with the contract, Delhi airport. I signed chori, और फिर मैं उधर से कश्मीर निकल गया, contract अपना लेके, और किसी को कुछ नहीं बोला. So this used to be our condition. I used to get scared, to be very honest. जब मुझे ये मतलब negotiate करना होता था, मैं बहुत nervous भी होता था, क्या करूं, सही कर रहा हूं कि नहीं कर रहा हूं. As Renedy Bhai said, now they don't have to worry about it. Let your agent to take care of it. You tell him, bhai, I want this much, around this much, whichever club you feel like. Okay, then if there are 3-4 offers, he will take care of it. He will look at your interest, best of your interest, and legally, which you were telling, not only the financial, but agents now take care of your legal things also. Now they take care of your tax things also, which is fabulous. Back then it was not there.
So I'd say, like, in the initial days of the FPAI, this must have been one thing that must have, like, since there were no agents, since you guys were handling, wasn't this?
Contracts was a big thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think now, if we see the non-payment issue, 99% we don't have it. Of course, all the ISL teams, the payments are on time. Even the I-League, East Bengal, Mohan Bagan, payment are on time. In our days, he knows, after winning the league, we are waiting for 6 months payment. We are waiting for 6 month payment after winning the league. And now I was talking a few days back to Guan players. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 days before the time they get payment, right on time. So players, all they have to worry, before we have to take our own flat, we have to worry about which car we have to drive because there was no bus as such, or we were not in a 5-star. Now all the ISL players are staying in a 5-star hotel or the 5-star apartment, and food, everything has been taken care of. The only thing is they have to go, concentrate on that 1.5 hour, 2 hour every single day training. They don't have to worry about it. Payment is coming directly to the bank. In our days, we will be going to officials, our club officials' office. They will make us wait for 3-4 hours to get the check.
And I would say not a single, I mean, kahaniyan to kitni hai. Somebody who, some club offering to pay the balance of a player's dues in the form of motorbikes.
Yeah.
Somebody offering you like
cash advance payment, which is again a very, very dangerous thing in nowadays.
Yeah,
I think there used to be.
But things are getting better. You know, the East Bengal Mohun Bagan.
And not a single player from your generation, perhaps, that has not had to deal with these issues.
Yeah.
Pretty much every single guy, no matter who you are,
you have
has
to deal on your own. Yeah. So now it is much better. Not only players, for example, Changte. He was performing his best in Indian League. Agents have helped him to go to Norway. So in our days, of course, I'm sure Ishfaq wanted to go and I wanted to go. But even though we are performing for 11, 12 years, playing well in the league, but it was not guaranteed that we will be able to go and at least have a look outside or have a training in one of the good clubs in Europe. This was not there. But now if you play well, you know, the agents are there watching and they will always offer you to take, and this is the best example. And I want more and more players to do so that, you know, India can have a better team.
I think Renedy bhai touched a very important point there. Nowadays, if you are not, your agents can just get you a training stint with any other European club which can help your game, which is very important, and which can at least agents do that, and it might help player. And they have been doing, some of the players have been in past going also to train with some big clubs. Absolutely, we are right. And as he said, now there is very, very less these payment related issue. And the one of the most important thing is everybody signs proper contract now.
It's very important because I was in fact looking at some figures, employment figures in India, and how many people are actually in the unorganized sector where there are no contracts between the employee and the employer. This applies to, of course, fields across the board, whether it's people working in domestic situations to like freelance journalists or anybody. And essentially, you guys used to be that. You used to be freelancers who would have to chase your own contract labor.
Yeah, freelancer, we used to wait for 6-7 months for our payment.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I mean, it's welcome to our world.
But not anymore. The football, not anymore.
Not anymore. So it's great to see, and I think the FPI AI has played a leading role in getting these standardized contracts in place. So it's good to hear from the president of that association that that these things are actually fructifying, and now we don't have to deal with.
The AIFF is helping, the ISL teams are helping, the I-League teams, we all have been working collectively. Now we are working as one, not like before, about 10, 15 years back, or even 8 years back. Now in the last 4-5 years, and things has changed, and things has changed for good. Like Ishfaq,
To sum up what these two are saying basically is, for all young footballers who are watching this show, they must know that if your agent has a beard, then he's very trustworthy.
And the senior, and the senior players have got a big role to play. All the senior players who have played in good level, they should try and help the youngsters.
Thank you both for those extremely important insights and personal stories that you brought into it. I think it sets the context really well from how we can move forward and learn from these tragic circumstances. Of course, our thoughts go out once again to the families of Emiliano Sala and the young Flamengo Academy players who've lost their lives. hopefully we'll catch you guys on a happier note next time. Until then, thanks for watching.